ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਸਪੀਰੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਆਪ ਵੀ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ, ਐਂਗਜ਼ਾਇਟੀ, ਸਿਜ਼ੋਫਰੇਨੀਆ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਬਿਮਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੋਂ ਲੰਘ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਚੈਲੰਜ ਫੇਸ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜੀਵਨ ਕਿਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਬਹੁਤ ਘੱਟ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਸਹਾਰਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਦਲਦਲ ਚੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢਦੇ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਹਨ ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ। ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇਸਨ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਲੈਟਸ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ ਟੂ ਦ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ। Jason, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Harpreet. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you. So first of all, congratulations for coming out of this mess and controlling your life on your own. So tell us your story. When did you come to Canada and how did you get under depression? What all happened with you?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Vancouver, actually. And my parents came from Brunei in the late 60s. So they came over, and I have two older siblings. And basically it was a life, you know, of a very, if you want to call it, very stereotypical Asian culture life of, you know, working hard, family working hard, and just trying to survive, you know. And but through it all, there was a lot of turmoil at home, life transitions. As I grew older, there was a lot of, my brother developed schizophrenia, and there was a lot of abuse growing up as well. So as a result, you know, as I grew up into an adult, I struggled with a lot of these suppressed feelings of anger, and was someone who lived with that anger and that depression inside of me.
Right.
And again, through life transitions, I felt I needed to find support, and got a lot of support through counseling and through workshops. And as a result, I felt, you know, I had the power to inspire and write a story.
Wonderful. We'll come and talk in details about how this transition happened. But before that, what was the kind of environment in which you grew? Because you talk about Asian culture where parents of our culture work hard and they want their children to succeed. So for the children, they are focusing upon. But at that time, when the children need some time, parents don't have that time because they're so much engrossed in earning bread that probably they don't have much time left for the children.
Yeah.
So what was the kind of environment in which you grew, and what were those kind of feelings, what you talked about, the suppressed feelings? What actually happened?
Well, I think the environment that I grew up in was, I guess, in the 70s and 80s. You know, when the parents are working hard, they have to work full-time jobs. My mom worked 2 jobs. You know, you feel as a child you felt neglected, alone. Oftentimes, you just didn't have that emotional support.
Right.
Your parents that you needed from your parents. You know, they come home tired. They come home sometimes frustrated and angry. Right. So you feel as a child a little bit just lacking that love at home that you know you kind of wish you had. So and that time and care that you needed from your parents. But so that was kind of the environment that I felt when I was growing up.
So how did it affect you? Were you used to just remain quiet or just to yourself? So what kind of feelings did you start having at that time? When did you realize that you are having some issues?
Well, the feelings I had as a child, again, were kind of just very. I was very much a very lonely kind of child. I was in solitude. You know, I kind of just kept to myself and my emotions to myself. I played out in the streets with my friends. You know, played street hockey and stuff. But that was kind of my only outlet.
Right.
But at home, it was kind of like close the door. Didn't want to listen to the fights, the arguments, and you know the shouting.
Right.
And then I realized that, you know, I had these kind of struggles dealing with a lot of the suppressed emotions. Kind of like in my I want to say late 30s and early 40s. I just turned 45 a couple of days ago. So, you know, it's been a while that I've been living with this suppressed anger.
Okay. What about your siblings? You said you had 2 elder siblings. So what kind of relationship you had with them? Were they cooperative or they also passed through the same phase?
Well, I mean, I can't speak on their behalf, but my brother developed schizophrenia when I was around 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
So it's been quite a number of years that he's been living with it.
Right.
My sister and I had a kind of a hot and cold relationship. You know, we certainly grew up a little bit closer than I did with my older brother.
Right.
And, you know, as adults, you know, we just kind of right now respect each other's space, and it's again one of those hot and cold type of relationships, right?
So Jason, from your talk, it seems you were an introvert who was not willing to, reach out to someone, and you were living your own life. So when was the time when you started feeling that this is having an impact on your life? What kind of, the environment you were in at home?
Yeah.
How was it being reflected in when you were in the school or in the university? So what kind of feelings were you having that? Were you suppressing those feelings at that time also, or were you blurting out with someone?
Well, I think I was, at university, and even after I graduated and got my first job, I think I was still keeping those angry feelings quite suppressed, and every now and then, because I lived with my sister for a number of years, I'd lash out and get into heated arguments with her. I would be on the telephone with my parents. I'd get into heated arguments with them. And then, of course, when I started dating, and again, it was a struggle to kind of maintain relationships because I was oftentimes getting upset or angry or very insecure, and it's as a result, I got to the point, much later on, that I think I needed to do something about it to change the way I was viewing everything.
Right. So there was a kind of a voice from inside that something needs to change. You had started feeling that something is wrong with me, because the first thing is to accept that one is wrong, because if you are passing through this phase, your major emphasis is, no, I'm the only one who knows everything. So were you also in a state of denial, or you started accepting things?
Yeah, very much in denial. I mean, I didn't come to realization of my difficulties in life, my struggles in life, till probably my late 30s.
Okay.
I have a teenage son now, and just again in and out of relationships, and I just felt that it was like, for the longest time, it's like there's nothing wrong with me. You're the problem, right?
Right.
So it's always about the finger pointing, the blaming of your partner, your family members, even your surroundings, whether it's your work or whatsoever.
Right.
But it was just kind of like, it was after another relationship ended, I just knew that something had to change, because I felt like I was the only variable, in all this, or the only constant that was where the problems are always occurring, and it had to be me, right?
Right.
So I decided I needed to find some more support through counseling.
Right. Let's go for a short break. We'll be back and learn more from you. What was that trigger which prompted you to think on those grounds that probably I'm the person who needs to change instead of everyone else changing? And what was that trigger, or what was that incident, if you recall? We'll talk about this after this short break. Remedios and Company ਦੇ 18 ਵਕੀਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਿੱਤੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਹਾਰਤ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਐਂਥਨੀ Remedios ਦੇ 30 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਤਜਰਬੇ ਹੇਠ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਇਹ ਵਕੀਲ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਟ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਲਾਅ, ਵਿਲਸ, estate, ਰੀਅਲ estate, ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਮਰਜਰਸ ਅਤੇ ਐਕੁਇਜ਼ੀਸ਼ਨਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਸਹੀ ਸਲਾਹ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਡਾਊਨਟਾਊਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੁਣ ਸਰੀ, ਬਰਨਬੀ ਤੇ ਰਿਚਮੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਚੰਡੀਗੜ੍ਹ, ਮਨੀਲਾ ਤੇ ਸ਼ੰਘਾਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹਨ। ਛੋਟਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਾਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਕੇਸ, ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ Remedios and Company ਫੀਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਾਜਬ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਨ। 6046491555। Once again, welcome back to the program. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਸਪੀਰੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਨੇ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਜਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਚਪਨ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਸਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਸੀ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦੀ ਆਪਸ 'ਚ ਲੜਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ, ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਨ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਇਹੀ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਖਾਵਾਂ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਹੋਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸਹੀ ਪਰਵਰਿਸ਼ ਲਈ। ਪਰ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨਵੇਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਇੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਸਟਰਗਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸਟਰਗਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਵੱਲ ਵੀ ਧਿਆਨ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ। ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਮਾਇਕ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਬਟ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ। ਇਸੇ ਦੇ ਫਲਸਰੂਪ ਜੇਸਨ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਅੰਡਰ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਮਿਡ 30s ਤੱਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਅਲਾਈਜ਼ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪ ਵਰਕਆਊਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਚਲਾਉਣ ਲਈ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁੱਖ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਐਸਾ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਫਿੰਗਰ ਪੁਆਇੰਟਿੰਗ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਸਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਟ੍ਰਿਗਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ, ਗਲਤੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ, ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਰਿਵਰਤਨ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ। So before the break, like my question to you was, what was that triggering factor which motivated you to, take responsibility of your own life and start working on yourself?
Well, it was after my last relationship ended, and I was just laying there in bed one night, and I just had to research abuse and abusive men.
Okay.
So I Googled it, and as a result, it was difficult. I was in denial again, and it was difficult, but I went through line by line, and I certainly matched up to a lot of the descriptors, if not all of them, right, of what an abusive, angry man was. And and then it sparked a lot of change in me right away. Immediately, like literally right away, started looking into workshops and counseling groups to deal with this situation. And also, then I look back upon my life and how I was, treating my friends, my coworkers, family members, even my son, and how I was treating them. So it was very eye-opening at that moment, and it was scary for sure,
Right.
because no one wants to kind of say, well, I've
Absolutely.
been angry, I've been abusive, right?
Yeah.
But I knew that if anything was going to change, I had to make that step.
Right. So you started realizing that something needs to be done. So what did you do? How did you take the baby steps? Because it's not that it's a magic wand you thought and everything changed.
Yeah.
So what were the steps what you took?
Well, I was quite aggressive with finding support. So right away, I Google searched a lot of different resources for anger management, for men's health, and I fortunately at the time I was working with two very good counselors, and I gave them a phone call right away, like the very next day,
Right.
to set up an appointment to start talking about my anger, my abuse, and my past, my troubled past.
Right.
So that was the first thing, and then it just kind of, I picked up a lot of momentum right after that, and
Okay.
I phoned up a couple of different counselors, and I went to the bookstore, started reading every book I could find on abuse, and also about managing anger, and also about managing types of anxiety as well, and living with
Right.
depression. So it just kind of just snowballed, and it almost became a project for myself. You know,
Right.
It was eye-opening for sure.
What was the reaction in the family? Because a person
Yeah.
who was always abusive or
Yeah.
always the temper ran high, when you wanted to bring that change, what kind of support or what was the reaction from the family?
I think the family wasn't quite prepared entirely to receive this type of information when I openly shared it. But
Right.
it's difficult to kind of hear it. At the same time, I think they felt a sense of relief that that I was doing something differently.
Right.
With my son, however, I think he was very, very supportive, very proud of me, and I think it was almost a sigh of relief for him.
Wonderful. So also, Jason, when you are on this journey of reclaiming yourself, if I may use this word, a time comes when always you are not in that position to maintain your motivation level at a peak. So what were the things what you were trying to do to keep yourself motivated that yes, I am going to continue this destination? Because this probably was not a straight journey. It might have been ups and downs coming into your life again, even despite you had made up a point that yes, I want to come back into the original form I am.
Yeah, that's easy. It was my son. It's my son, and to this day, he's my
Okay.
biggest motivation.
Right.
And as a father, and I think a lot of fathers out there can really understand this, is that we want to be the best role model we can for our son, right? And when we see our children struggling or living with depression or having their own personal challenges, we want to be able to help them through that. And what better way than to kind of lead by example?
Right, wonderful. And also then once you realized this and you started motivating yourself and with your help of your son and family, then you also thought about writing a book also. So this book, The Living the Dragon, that's the book name what you have given. So in this book, what have you tried to bring out from your journey which can be beneficial to those people who are passing through this phase?
I think the biggest message that I want to send to everybody with my book is that everybody is affected by mental health to some capacity.
Right.
Okay? Mental health challenges. We go to the supermarket, we go to the shopping center. Wherever we walk around and we see people dressed in everyday clothes. We think everything's perfectly fine. I have a great job and I have a great home. I drive a nice car, but you know what? At the end of the day, I still have my own struggles, and that's what I wanted to share with other people as well. Is that we don't have to all be living in the streets to have a mental health challenge. Let's remove that label. Let's remove that stigma. I think we need to accept that everybody at some capacity struggles too.
Right, and when you talk about the stigma, it's still in our communities, we are not willing to accept and talk about these issues. Do you feel that over the years, has there been some difference in the psyche of the people where they have started talking about these issues, or still we just want to put it under the carpet?
That's a tough question. I think we certainly are making progress. I think some of the ethnic communities might find it a little bit more challenging still to bring to surface, but the generations now, the younger generation, is starting to kind of open up that dialogue. I've been working with like different family services, like Moving Forward, and they're hosting an event which is about raising awareness, and I certainly see a lot of the younger population trying to break that stigma. So there is some progress, but I think we still have a long ways to go.
So with your experience of life, what message would you like to give towards then to our viewers today, people? Because though we live in a civilized society, but still probably we are far away from civilization.
Yeah.
When we see our elders, when we see earlier periods, probably people had much less than what we have today, but they were happier. They were not passing through these kind of phases what we are talking today about. So what would be your message, from where to start, and from your wisdom, what can they learn?
I think that the message I want to send is that it's a difficult life out there. It's highly competitive, especially for the younger generation. Again, with social media, and it's just so hard to kind of keep up with everything that's going on. So there's a lot of stress in our lives, right? So the message I want to say is, take care of ourselves first and foremost.
Right.
And that self-awareness, that self-care goes a long ways. So whether we eat right, exercise, or rest at home, if we need those breaks, we need to kind of take those breaks, and it just benefits our mental health overall.
So basically, balance is the answer to life.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And people who are already struggling, who are under depression or anxiety, is they are under this kind of issues, challenges, what they are facing. For them, what would be your message to them?
They're not alone, right? I mean, I think there's probably more people living with depression than what the statistics are showing right now. I think the numbers 1 in 4, 1 in 5 are diagnosed with depression, but that's medically diagnosed. But how many of us are walking around probably living with depression and not even knowing it? Right. I mean, I think I fall into that category.
Right.
So that they just need to know that they're not alone, and that we all share the same common struggles too.
So they should come out and seek help. That's the most important.
Absolutely.
But then that has to be taken by the individual himself or herself. Nobody can force them until unless they want to come forward.
Yeah, they got to have that motivation too.
Right.
That they want to, if they living with depression is difficult because you're kind of stuck in a place where you just don't want to move and take those first steps. But once they see that little light in that window, just they gotta try to make that effort and get out there and understand it's difficult.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming forward. You need courage to come forward and share your journey. So congratulations and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਜੇਸਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਆਪ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਸਨ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਿਰਣੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਫਾਈਨਲੀ ਉਹ ਚੇਂਜ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ। ਇੱਕ ਹੁਣ ਆਥਰ ਬਣੇ ਨੇ। ਲਿਵਿੰਗ ਵਿਦ ਦ ਡਰੈਗਨ ਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਜਰਨੀ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੁਝ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤਾਂ ਐਕਸੈਪਟ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੇਬਲ ਲਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹ ਬੇਘਰਾ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ, ਹੋਮਲੈਸ, ਉਹੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਸ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂਟਲ ਚੈਲੰਜਸ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ, ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸਪੋਰਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਇਹ ਨਿਰਣਾ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਯੈਸ ਮੈਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਤੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਅੱਜ ਮਾਰਕੀਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਹੈ। ਥਰੂ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ, ਥਰੂ ਬੁੱਕਸ, ਥਰੂ ਗੂਗਲ, ਥਰੂ ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਮਦਦ ਮਿਲ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਪ ਨਿਰਣੇ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪਰਿਵਰਤਨ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ, ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਵੀ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਸੁਪਰ ਸਕਸੈਸ ਹੋਈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਕੋਈ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਵਾਕਈ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਬਲੇ ਤਾਰੀਫ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੁਬਾਰਕਬਾਦ ਦੇਣੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੇਸਨ ਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਜਦੋਜਹਿਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ।